the faceless shadow, in the remote heart of the American Midwest, where the land stretched flat and unforgiving under vast skies, lay the town of Blackwood, encircled by dense forests that seemed to breathe with ancient secrets. Blackwood was a place time had overlooked. It was the early 1990s, an era when landline phones tethered people to their homes, and the internet was a distant rumor, confined to university labs and tech magazines. Communication was slow, information scarce, and isolation profound. The town's few residents, hardened farmers, reclusive families fleeing urban chaos, lived in weathered wooden houses scattered along narrow winding roads. But the true ruler of Blackwood was the forest, thick, impenetrable, and perpetually shrouded in fog that rolled in like a living entity each night. Every path seemed to lead inevitably into its depths, where light faltered and shadows reigned supreme. Ethan Miller was 16, a boy whose curiosity burned brighter than the dim street lamps of Blackwood. With his tousled brown hair perpetually disheveled from outdoor adventures, and eyes that gleamed with wonder, Ethan stood apart from his peers. While other kids chased baseballs or fished in the murky river, he delved into the unknown. Armed with a small leather-bound notebook, he roamed the forest's edges, sketching odd fungi, noting peculiar bird calls, and pondering the mysteries hidden in the underbrush. Lately, though, his explorations had turned inward. Night after night, dreams invaded his sleep, vivid, suffocating visions that left him gasping awake, his sheets twisted and damp. The first dream came on a crisp October evening. Ethan wandered a fog-choked path, the trees towering like silent judges, branches intertwined overhead, forming a canopy that blocked the moon's feeble glow. The air was still, unnaturally so, save for a faint rustle that might have been wind or something more sinister. Then, in the distance, he saw it, a figure, impossibly tall and slender, clad in a black suit that absorbed the scant light. Its face-or where a face should be was a smooth, pale void. No eyes to pierce, no mouth to whisper, no features at all. It stood motionless, yet Ethan felt an inexorable pull, as if invisible threads tugged at his soul. He tried to flee, but his limbs grew heavy, the ground clutching at his feet like quicksand. When he jolted awake, his heart thundered, and the room felt colder, the shadows deeper. The next morning, over breakfast in the dim kitchen of his family's modest home, Ethan confided in his best friend, Clara Johnson, via a crackling phone call. Clara, 15 and ethereal, with her golden blonde hair cascading like sunlight and blue eyes that held depths of unspoken sensitivity, was his constant companion. They met daily at the town's rundown school, where she often sat in the corner, doodling abstract swirls of light and darkness in her sketchpad. "It was just a nightmare, Ethan," she said, her voice soft but laced with unease. "But I've been hearing things too, whispers when I walked near the woods, like someone's calling my name, but when I turn, there's nothing." Ethan forced a laugh, though it rang hollow. Wind playing tricks, probably. Or maybe those old ghost stories the farmers tell around the fire. "I'll jot it down anyway, could make a good story." He flipped open his notebook later that day, his pen scratching out the details. Tall figure in black, faceless forest pulls you in. Felt like it was watching, waiting. As days blurred into weeks, the dreams intensified. Each night, the faceless entity drew closer. In one vision, Ethan ran through twisting paths, branches whipping his face, only for the figure to materialize ahead, blocking his escape. He began recording his recollections on an old cassette player inherited from his late father, a clunky device with worn buttons that hummed faintly as it captured his trembling voice. "October 15, 1992, he whispered into the microphone. "It's there again, in the mist, not moving, but I feel it pulling me, like gravity, but darker, hungrier." Clara's concern deepened. She had always been attuned to the unseen childhood tales of ghostly visitations and premonitions that proved eerily accurate. "You need to stop obsessing, Ethan. Stay out of the woods." But his curiosity was a flame she couldn't extinguish. One overcast afternoon, he persuaded her to join him on a photographic expedition. Armed with a battered Polaroid camera scavenged from the attic. "Purely scientific," he insisted. "Document the place. See if anything matches my dreams." They ventured in as autumn leaves crunched underfoot, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying foliage. Sunlight pierced the canopy in weak shafts, illuminating gnarled roots and moss-covered boulders. Ethan snapped photos haphazardly. An ancient oak twisted like a tormented soul, a narrow stream murmuring secrets, Clara posing with a tentative smile amid the gloom. Back in his room, under the glow of a single bulb, he developed the prints. Most were mundane, capturing the forest's quiet menace. but one stood out distorted, as if static had invaded the film. In the background, blurred among the trunks, loomed a tall, slender silhouette, its form unnaturally elongated. What is that? Ethan breathed, his fingers tracing the anomaly. Clara leaned in, her face draining of color. It looks exactly like what you described, the thing from your dreams. They rationalized it as a trick of light, a flaw in the aging film. But that night, the dream returned with vengeance. The figure was nearer now, its blank visage almost tangible. Ethan awoke in a panic, his notebook inexplicably open on the bedside table. Below his last entry, in his own handwriting, were words he had no memory of scrolling. It approaches closer each time. Dawn brought no relief. He bolted to Clara's house, thrusting the notebook at her. I didn't write this, I swear. Her eyes widened as she read, her hand trembling. Ethan, this is insane. And last night, the whispers were louder. They said your name. Rumors festered in Blackwood like untreated wounds. The first disappearance sent shockwaves through the tight-knit community. Tommy Hayes, a wide-eyed 8-year-old with freckles and boundless energy, vanished while playing tag near the forest's edge. His laughter echoed one moment, silenced the next. Search parties combed the woods, lanterns flickering like fireflies, but found only his abandoned bicycle, wheels still spinning lazily. No footprints, no Chris nothing. Sheriff Harlan Douglas led the effort, a burly man in his 40s with a grizzled beard and eyes haunted by old ghosts. He'd lost his daughter, Emily, a decade earlier in a mirror image incident. The pain had carved deep lines into his face, turning him into a solitary figure who patrolled the town's fringes with a shotgun and a flask. Stay vigilant, he barked at town meetings in the drafty community hall. The woods ain't safe. Ethan and Clara, fueled by morbid fascination, eavesdropped on hushed conversations at the local diner, where coffee steamed and whispers flowed. One evening, emboldened by twilight's cover, they slipped into Douglas's cluttered office at the sheriff's station. Rifling through yellowed files, they uncovered a chilling pattern. Disappearances spanning decades, each preceded by odd behaviors. Victims, mostly children, had sketched or described a tall, faceless man in black. One file held Emily's drawing, crude crayon lines depicting a stick-like figure looming over trees, captioned the no-face man who watches. Footsteps echoed in the hall. Douglas burst in, his face thunderous. What in God's name are you kids doing? But anger gave way to weary resignation as they explained. He sank into his chair, rubbing his temples. You shouldn't poke at this. The forest, it claims what it wants. Over lukewarm coffee, he opened up about Emily, her nightmares, her tales of a suited specter, whispering promises. I dismissed it as fancy, biggest mistake of my life. Ethan shared his dreams. The notebook, the photo. Douglas's interest peaked at the recordings. Play M. As Ethan's voice filled the room, interspersed with unnatural static, faint whispers emerged. Come, join us. Not Ethan's timbre, something colder, inhuman. The hallucinations began subtly, then snowballed into terror. Clara glimpsed the figure in her bathroom mirror, one foggy morning, a split-second flash that sent her reeling. It's invading our lives. Ethan, I see it in reflections, in shadows. Ethan fared no better. Glancing out his window at dusk, he'd spotted standing sentinel amid the trees, motionless yet radiating malice. He'd dash outside, heart pounding, only to find empty mist. Desperation drove them back into the forest, flashlights cutting swaths through the gloom. The cassette recorder worry. We end this tonight, Ethan declared, though fear cracked his voice. Clara nodded, her intuition screaming warnings. Deeper in, the whispers amplified. Ethan, Clara, embraced the dark. Paths twisted illogically, leading them in circles. Then, in a clearing ringed by ancient stones, etched with faded symbols, it appeared the Slender Man, as they'd come to call it. Towering, its suit pristine against the chaos, its faceless head tilting curiously. Clara collapsed, clutching her skull. It's inside my head. It hungers for us. They fled, branches tearing at their clothes, but the encounter scarred them. Ethan's notebook overflowed with alien scrolls. The void welcomes surrender. Photos developed with increasing distortions, the figure crystallizing. Douglas, convinced now, joined their crusade. I've ignored this too long. He led them to the heart of the woods, where Emily had vanished, a perfect circular glade, where trees bowed outward, as if repelled. Carvings on boulders depicted the entity, surrounded by diminutive human forms in agony. The air hummed with malevolence. As they probed, shadows lengthened unnaturally. Douglas's flashlight dimmed, and whispers encircled them. This is its domain, he muttered. where it lures the lost. The breaking point came when Clara's younger brother, Timmy, disappeared. 7 years old, with Clara's blue eyes, he vanished from their backyard. His toy truck toppled at the tree line. Clara's grief ignited resolve. We confront it. Now, armed Douglas with his revolver, Ethan with notebook and recorder, Clara with her unyielding intuition, they plunged into the night-shrouded forest. Fog enveloped them like a shroud, whispers evolving into cacophony. In the glade, the slender man materialized, its form warping reality. Trees bent, air thickened. Douglas fired, bullets curving harmlessly away. Damn you. Shadows extended from the entity like tendrils, ensnaring him. He vanished with a guttural scream, pulled into oblivion. Ethan felt the pull, his mind fracturing as visions assaulted him. Past victims trapped in eternal torment. New words burned onto his notebook. You are mine. Clara's cry snapped him back. She dragged him free, her arms slashed by phantom branches. They emerged, battered, forever changed. Blackwood endured, its fog eternal, disappearances sporadic. Ethan ceased writing, haunted by unseen hands. Clara's sketches obsessed over the figure. The slender man waited faceless, patient, in dreams and darkness. And if you venture to Blackwood, heed this. The forest calls. Answer, and you're lost.